What's going on, y'all? Shane Sams here. Welcome back to the Shane Sams Show. It's good to be back with you today on this show. I'm sitting out on my back porch. I just woke up. I got my pre-workout going so I can get ready for the gym. The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, and I'm having a good day. It is a good day, guys, to be alive. You got to be happy to be alive, y'all. And I'm excited to bring you this week's episode of the Shane Sams Show. It's going to be a little bit different episode. I'm going to let you behind the scenes on a coaching program that I have called StoryPitch. You know, I have spoke at a very high level on some of the biggest stages in America over the last few years. And a lot of people kept coming up to me and saying, Shane, I want to speak on stage. I want to do better on my webinars. I want to learn how you talk, man. I want to learn how to prepare a presentation. I want to learn how to deliver that presentation. I want to learn how to sell my stuff better. Some people are keynote speakers. They just want to learn how to deliver an epic story that leaves an impact on their audience. So about a year ago, I started coaching speakers, entrepreneurs, coaches, people who were going out and doing keynote presentations, people that were doing sales presentations at seminars, people that were doing webinars, or even people that were doing video sales letters so that they could get their story across and learn how to be a master storyteller on stage, to move emotion, to move the audience, to move the crowd toward action, whether that action is buy your product or that action is to really embody an idea and take it with them out into the world so that they can make their life a better place. And recently I worked with an amazing student of mine named Jennifer Trinidad. She's been a longtime client of mine. She was a client over at Flip Lifestyle. We helped her start, build, and grow an amazing online business, a membership site called budgetdivas.com, where she helps women get their budgets under control, but still live that diva lifestyle, baby. They like to shop. They like to go out to eat. She teaches a program called mystery shopping, where people will actually pay you to come and shop and kind of be a secret Santa or a secret shopper in the background. And you get paid for that, and you can use that money to help pay down debt, and you can still live an amazing, lavish lifestyle like a budget diva only can. But Jennifer Trinidad is an amazing client, amazing student, amazing friend of ours. And she came in and said, hey, I want to tell my story better. You know, I want my webinars to convert better, Shane. So can you help me tell my story like you tell stories on stage so that I can move my audience and get them into this product that's going to change their life and change their family's future? And I said, deal, Jennifer. Well, Jennifer also was kind enough to let me actually take this first session that we did. We call it a story pitch session. For people who are selling on stage or webinars or VSLs. And I guide her through her story, and we kind of trim it down and we edit it, and we take her life story and we make it as epic as Lord of the Rings, man. We drive emotion, we overcome objections, and we sell her product in a mighty way. So we thought it would be really cool to let you behind the scenes and listen in to one of these story pitch sessions this week. So this is the first session that I did. The story pitch process takes about 5 or 6 sessions to get the slides done, to get the story told correctly, to get everything out there ready for what it's going to be out in the world. But once you have that asset, guys, y'all, I've done 1,000 podcasts. I've been interviewed hundreds of times. I've spoken on stages of up to 10,000 people at the LA Convention Center. And everywhere I go, I tell the same story because they ain't heard it yet. I just take the same story on the road, and that has made me millions and millions and millions of dollars through my career. And I know that if you can nail your story in your business, or you can nail your story on stage, you can move the audience and you can move sales as well. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to just let you listen in to my first session with Jennifer Trinidad. We're going to peel back the curtain on her story. We're going to look through the parts that move the audience the best, that make the most impact, and we're going to dial it in. And by the end of today's episode, you're going to hear her story become an epic story that she can go out, an asset that she has a hold of, and all she's got to do is get it in front of new people so she can sell her products, she can grow her business, and she can inspire people to take action out in the world. So sit back, relax, enjoy today's episode. I'll be back with you just in a little bit to close the show.
Hey Shane, thanks so much for the session today. My head is like exploding and I'm just so excited. You can't see it, but I was like jumping up and down after our session and, called my husband and told him all the things. And I'm just like super excited. So I'm going to like take a drive right now. I have some mystery shops to do actually, and just let everything sink in. But I'm so excited. I don't know. I think I'm going to cry right now. But anyway, I'm so glad that I signed up. This is definitely like $100,000 worth of information that you just gave me. And, like my main goal is to retire my husband in the next 6 months, hopefully. So, yeah. So just wanted to say thank you again.
So I want you to take a few minutes here and just tell us your story.
How long do you want it? Like 5 minutes of the story, or?
Or do you want me to join your membership?
Oh, no,
How,
I
how,
know.
how bad do you want me to join your membership? Take as long as you need. That's the
Oh,
answer.
okay.
No, I want to know the whole kit and caboodle. I want to know, you just tell me like you were telling it on a webinar.
So my story started in 2015 when I was working a corporate job. I had worked my, I don't want to say that word, but I had worked up to this point, and I really wanted to be an executive. I wanted
Were
to
you
be
about
a
to say? Were you
VP.
about to say? Were you about to say a bad word? Were you
Yeah.
about to say work? Was you about to say work your ass off?
Yeah.
Why would you? Hold on. Now this is for me the first rule of storytelling. You should, if you would say that word, you should totally say that word. You should never check yourself. You want that word. If you want to say work your ass off, you say work your ass off. Okay.
Okay.
Because everyone who is listening to that call is going to hear, I'm working my ass off too. And some people will be like, oh my God, clutch my pearls. She said ass. And they're going to hit leave and they're going to leave. And good riddance. It's a bad rubbish. Okay.
Okay.
So you're a budget diva. A budget diva would say work her ass off. Okay.
Okay. Let me start over then. So it was in 2015 when I was working as a staffing manager for a company, and I was working my ass off to get to the level that my boss wanted me to be, which was director, VP, and eventually the president of the company. And I thought, this is perfect. Like, if you looked at my resume and you looked at everything that I had accomplished, you would think that my life was set and I was on the way to success. But I was so unhappy. I would come home every single night at 8 p.m. and still do work. I would work on the weekends. I would be going to all these networking events and fancy parties, which on the outside seemed like it was a glamorous life, but I never saw my family. And little did I know that my marriage was crippling and my son wasn't doing well because he just wanted me around. So I knew something had to change. And I found myself on the bathroom floor one day, just crying my eyes out. You know, that ugly cry where you just like can't breathe anymore. And you're just like, God, just give me the resources to change my life, because I really needed to do something or else my marriage was going to fail. And I knew that I only had 4 years left till my kid went to college. And once he went to college, I would probably not see him.
Pause.
Okay.
Great so far, but I'm gonna say something really fast.
Okay.
You have not said yet that you were in debt.
Okay.
So how far in debt were you at this point?
90.
Okay, so hold on. So I was so unhappy right before you end up on the bathroom floor, right? Found myself on the bathroom floor. Like, the words before that need to be, and I was 90,000, or no, the 90,000. When you say I was so unhappy, that has to start with 90,000. We're going to put this in order. That's first.
Okay.
That's the hook.
Okay.
Right? That's like me when I'm saying I was living paycheck to paycheck or I was broke, like whatever. I didn't have enough income. That's within the first 2 seconds. Okay. So we're $90,000 in debt. We're going to pick right back up on the bathroom floor. I was crying, that ugly cry, you can't breathe. And I just prayed, God, help me change my life. What happened next?
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Let me regroup now.
Back up. You're going to get so good at this. It's going to be like a ripcord. You're going to be like Woody. You can pull a string and you're going to be able to say it from anywhere. You're going to be like, it's like me. Like you can pull my string on. So I was going outside to come on my yard and I got just sick of the music on my podcast player. So I decided to download some business podcasts. And I found this podcast called the Smart Passive Income Podcast that use pull the string again. And I was driving to work one day and my son, I was trying to take him to daycare center. And he kept saying, no, daddy. I want to say that it's going to get so beat into your head that you'll be able to pitch from any part of your story pitch when we get done with you from anywhere. It's going to be amazing.
Okay.
All right. So, all right. Found yourself on the bathroom floor.
Okay. I'll back up a little bit to the debt.
Okay.
I was $90,000 of debt. And I thought the only way that I'm going to get out of debt was to stay in this miserable job. Now, it wasn't miserable. I had a great boss, but it was miserable because I never saw my family. And then one day in
Hey, stop,
2016,
stop.
okay,
I'm gonna. Why did you have? Why did you feel the need to defend your boss right there?
because I know she would probably listen to this to my
Okay.
story.
What? Okay, but that exactly. Leave that out.
Okay,
You own no. It's your story. We don't have to defend your boss. It doesn't
okay,
matter if people try to figure. You did. You never said your boss was the reason you were unhappy.
okay.
Okay, but you just basically everyone who's listening to your story that has a good boss or has a bad boss just stopped listening to you because that now they're going. Well, I'll say you had a good boss. At least you had a good boss. I mean, I got a terrible boss. You don't know you don't get me. All right, so go. All
Okay.
right. We protect the listener, protect the customer, not your old boss. Okay.
Okay. Um, and one day I got a call from my previous job that I had left to go to this high paying staffing manager position. And they said, "Hey, there is a senior position available. Do you want to come back?" And when I looked at the numbers, it was going to be about a $25,000 pay cut. But I knew that if I took this job, I would be able to have a regular 9 to 5 job and I would be able to see my family. And I was determined to somehow make it work. So in October of 2016 was when our debt-free journey really began. I went back to that other job and now I had the freedom to spend time with my family and had a regular 9 to 5 schedule. But I had to now get on a budget that was going to work for me and my family if I was going to pay off debt. And
But you
when
had
I
a lot
looked at
less money because you had a lot less money, right? That we
because I
had a
had a lot
lot
less
less
money.
money. Yeah, yeah. So I had to get on a budget. So hold on. Have to get on a budget just because you had less money to make your monthly expenses work, or were you actually like, I'm going to? Have you made the decision to get out of debt yet?
Yeah, I'm getting there. Sorry. There's probably like too many filler words that I have to
That's okay.
cut
That's okay.
down.
Keep going. That's I know. I know. It's fine. I'm bulleting the best. All right. I'm just making sure that I know. I know. Yeah.
And so we had heard of Dave Ramsey back in 2012, but we were doing what Dave calls Dave-ish. We were slowly paying off debt, but still using our credit cards and still spending like every day was payday. And when I really looked at our budget, I was really scared to tell my husband that we needed to get out of debt because all of the debt was my debt. He had no debt. He came into this marriage having no debt. All of it was mine. And I was determined to somehow make it work for the both of us. So when we first did that budget, it was going to take 6 to 8 years to fully get out of debt. And that was a really long time. And for the first 2 years of our debt-free journey, we lived on nothing. We did what Dave Ramsey says, like, don't go on vacation, don't eat out, don't do anything. Basically, don't even have a life until you are out of debt. And the first 2 years of our marriage were miserable because we didn't do anything at all except work and pay off debt. And then one day when I was talking to my friend, she said, there's this thing called mystery shopping where you can actually make money shopping. And I was like, I remember going, hold up. There are actually people getting paid to shop. Do you know that shopping is like my love language? Like, of all the love languages out there, shopping is my number one. I started going on YouTube and I found Talent and Ty McNeely of His and Her Money. And they were talking about how they made $400 in 1 month mystery shopping. Now, this
Mm.
was the catalyst to my story because previously in those first 2 years from 2016 to 2018, I was spending hours at a time doing surveys and getting paid $2 for each survey, which took an hour each. So when I found mystery shopping, I started researching online what is mystery shopping. I signed up for all of the companies that the YouTubers told me to sign up for. And from 2018 in October to 2019 in December, we had paid off $41,000 of debt, and about $15,000 of that came from mystery shopping.
Yeah. And how long did it take you to get out of debt, actually?
So it took us 4 years. It would have been 3 years, but because of the pandemic.
Oh, don't worry about that. It took us
Yeah.
4 years. Remember, earlier you said I did the math and it was going to take 8 years to get out of debt. We did it in half the time. Would you like to get out of debt in half the time? Like, these are little trial closes you're going to do. Wouldn't it be amazing if you could imagine how much you've got left to pay off now? Wouldn't it be amazing if you could cut that in half? So that's what you're seeding here, right? It took us 4 years, half the time. That's what we're selling is 50%, half the time, blah, 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 blah. Half the time, half the time.
Okay.
All right. And then when you succeeded, you got out of debt. Tell me about that and tell me how it felt and tell me all the things. Well, hold on. We haven't talked about yet, like, mystery shopping. Didn't the mystery shopping also let you start living your life again before you got out of debt?
Yes.
You get to start living your life again before you get out of debt. We had worked so hard, sacrificed so much. I think that's going to be a key point right there. Hard and sacrificed so much. We were ready to live again while we finished off the debt. After we got off the debt. And we can expand on that in your story later on when we do this.
Okay.
It took us 4 years, half the time. So you succeed. You get out of debt. Now, let's fast forward. The day you pay off the last debt. Tell me how that felt. Do you tell this part of your story usually when you get out of debt?
No, not really. It's not really important to the story.
It's the most important part of the story, Jen. This is the part of the story that matters, right? This is on September 27th. 2013, in the same office that my boss told me, I know your son needs you, but your job needs you too. I looked at her and I said, I don't need your job anymore. And I've been self-employed online entrepreneur ever since. Every time I say that, every city I've ever said it, standing ovation, thunderous applause. You have to tell this part of the story. You've led them to this point because now you are going to become what they want in this part of the story, right?
Okay.
All right, so tell me about when you succeeded. I want to know this part.
I know, but I don't feel like it was like, yay, because it was like in 2020.
Tell me what it was. Hold on. Don't worry about when it was. The day you sent the last money to pay off the last debt. Maybe it was mundane. Maybe it was like, oh, relief. Like, what was the emotion? Tell me the emotion. Tell me the conversation. I don't care what it was. Just tell me what it was.
This is hard because I always link things to Disney movies. Can I just tell you about the Disney movie part and then you can just flesh it out for me?
Yes.
So it's kind of like in Finding Nemo when they all are in those plastic bags at the end of the movie and they're in the ocean. And then now they're like, oh, now what? So that was my emotion. Like, they escaped from the tank, but then they're like, okay, now what do I do? Okay.
Hold on.
That sounds familiar, Shane, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Well, she's going to laugh when we show her the Finding Nemo slide here in a minute. All right. So I got out of the tank, but they were in the bag. They said, now what? Oh, that's not what the story is, Jen. That's not what it was. It's like the day that we paid it off. You know, you would think it would be like streamers. This is exactly like my paying off my house story, Stephen. You know what I'm saying? It's like the day that you thought there'd be streamers and celebration and all of this, but there was no need for that. You know why? Because 6 months before that, or a year before that, I'd already found a way to live the life I wanted to live. I'd already found the way to get my life back and be a budget diva and have my cake and eat it too. So it wasn't a big deal. See, I didn't have to wait for the end of that journey. When we got to the finish line, y'all, it was just another day. But it was a day we realized we had finally cleaned the slate, and now we could do anything we wanted. I got back a lot of the things I wanted. I started doing more of the things I wanted to do anyway, but now I was at a place where I could calmly look into the future without stress, without financial worry. And I could say, anything's possible. And see, what I want you to know is whatever you want to do now is possible. You can start living your possibilities again before you get out of debt, so that when you get there, you can do anything you want. See, that's what we're really telling you about the Budget Divas membership is we're going to get you out of debt and we're going to get you there faster. But you get, as soon as you sign up, you get to start living your life. You get to start having your cake and eat it too. You get to have all of that back. We are going to make see, right now, you think the day you pay off debt is going to be the day you're dancing and kicking and having a good time. No. This day is going to be so good when you sign up for this membership that when you get there, it's going to feel like just another day. And you're just going to be marching into your future. See, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you get to do something. Everyone else is selling the day you get out of debt is the day you're going to celebrate. No. The day you get out of debt is going to be just another day. The day you sign up for Budget Divas and you start mystery shopping and you start doing these things and you start realizing that you're getting your life back tomorrow because you're going to have more money to spend toward your debt or to spend on your family. That's what we're doing. See, freedom that you sell is not the same as Dave Ramsey sells. Dave Ramsey sells, we'll get you out of debt someday. No, you're more toward the end of the journey, and you're like, hey, you don't have to wait for that day. That day is just another day. We're making that mundane. Today's the greatest day, the greatest opportunity of your life, because you came to this training and you're going to join Budget Divas. And tomorrow you're going to start having your cake and eat it too, while all those other people are still baking that cake.
Oh my gosh, I love this.
So okay, so it's like, yeah, succeeded. It was another day. I'm gonna it was another day. Why was it another day? Because I got my life back. I discovered mystery shopping. I became a budget diva. They become a budget diva. It's not about being debt free. It's you're trying to make them to make the decision to become a budget diva, not make the decision to get out of debt. They're already going to get out of debt. You're going to catch people that's already out there. Are you already getting out of debt? And you're, like, an ad for this would say, like, are you already getting out of debt, but you want to get there faster? Have you been sacrificing a long time and you're just ready for this whole thing to be over? Do you want to get your life back, have your cake and eat it too tomorrow? Come to this training. And then you're going to unpack this story and it's going to crush when you do it. Okay, cool. Now, tell me, fast forward real quick. You succeeded. You got out of debt. Why help other people? Like, what happened? Why did you think I want to help other people? Did someone in your life ask you to help them? Like, what happened?
No, it was actually because you told me this is what you're going to do. And remember, I was really against it. And I do tell that story. I was like, you know, it was in the middle of 2020 when everything was going down. And I hopped on a podcast.
Couldn't mystery shop during the pandemic, right?
No, I did.
Oh, you did?
I did. Because nobody was doing it.
You have got to talk about that. I even mystery shopped. Like, that's got to go back. You've got to talk about that if you don't talk about that right now. Because if you can anchor to the pandemic, you're going to trigger so many emotions that people aren't going to know where their head is. And because everyone suffered during the pandemic. And if you're like, I just kept mystery shopping, I'll show. It doesn't even work during the global pandemic. It's going to work forever, right? You've got to talk about that for sure. Let me find mystery shopping here. This story is going to be epic. All right. All right. Why? Okay. So everything going down in the pandemic. Go ahead. Tell me more.
Oh, so do you want to talk about my online journey, like how I got into online business, or just talk about fast forward to when I joined?
This is pretty interesting, because so now think about the story we just told, right? We're working on this. We're going to framework this out here in a minute with a little bit more structure. Okay. But think about this story. Like, I succeeded. It was kind of mundane. I was like, now what next? So what next for you was, like, you wanted to start a business? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was actually like in December 2019, we only had like $5,000 left of our debt, but I didn't pay it off until maybe like further down the line in 2020, because I didn't know what was going to happen. But then I joined Flip
You've got
Lifestyle
to
in March
hey, you have got to
2020.
say this. You have got to say that during the pandemic story, because then you could be like, I had debt, and I just said I'm gonna keep this right here, and I'm gonna wait and see what happens with the thing. And being able to say, we only had like $5,000 left. I knew I could pay that off fast. That's everyone on the call now is going to go, oh, wait a minute. I've only got like $5,000. You could even say like, we only had like $5,000 to $10,000 left, right? Kind of extrapolate because it's probably a little over 5K. And now everyone with 5,000 to 10,000, that's who you want. That's Jay. That's Cindy. It's part of your story. It must be part of this story, because everyone who hears that is like, I knew I could pay that off fast with my methods, right? So, Jen has a method to help me pay that off fast. Okay. So 5,000 down, 2020. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it was like March 2020. I think you and Jocelyn were on the His and Her Money podcast. So I just signed up the next day. But then I had so many ideas. I was going to do productivity. I was going to do meal planning. I was going to do this. I was going to do that. Nothing was working. And then I joined your roundtable in December of 2020. And I had so many ideas. And then you told me, stop. This is what you're going to do. You're going to teach people how to get out of debt. Because I said, I'm not like the other people who are like great dancers or, great chefs that can teach. Like, I don't know what is my talent. I don't even have any talents. And then you're like, well, what have you been doing for the past 5 years? I was like, trying to pay off my student loans. And you're like, exactly. That's what you're going to do. You're going to help people get out of debt.
So basically, with the way you will position this is actually really good, because you have an interesting mentor bridge. So mentors are really important in your story. Like, you have to name drop. Okay. But you have a really interesting story of Dave Ramsey to Talent and Ty to us to you. So by the end of that, like, all these people believing in you, like Talent and Ty, did you work with them any? Did you ever get to talk to them or anything?
Okay. I did do a podcast with them. And then I did get a couple people.
You can throw away on there and say, oh, I was on their podcast. And then you can say, I was on Shane's podcast. And like, these mentors believing in you, like Dave Ramsey to Talent and Ty to Shane and Jocelyn to me. Like, now you have all this street cred of like, when you have me, like Shane coach, and you should say like, Shane's coached thousands of people in different businesses. And he looked at me and said, oh my gosh, Jen, this is your gift. This is why you were put on this earth. This is your story. Like, you went through this story to help other people succeed faster. So now you have this automatic, they don't even have to know who I am, but it's just like, make it out like it's somebody important. You know what I mean? And then it's like Obi-Wan looking over at Luke Skywalker, and then Darth Vader cuts him down, right? It's like, that's deep where this story goes. It's like Gandalf in Lord of the Rings sacrificing himself, right? It's like someone says, you guys do it, like, I can't ever teach anybody that. Like, we can even word that and you can use my words, but it's like, then you realize like, oh my gosh, I can help. What I did, I can do. Now, did you ever help a friend mystery shop before this?
Yes.
Have you? Okay. You've got to tell that story first. Okay. So then it was like, a friend, tell me about your friend that you helped before this. Who did you tell about mystery shopping?
Oh, her name is Carol. Yeah,
where was she from?
Like, she's here. She's from Hawaii. Debt free.
Just a neighbor or something?
Yeah, knew her from church.
Perfect.
Her daughter and I went to school together.
Oh, it's someone's mom. That's amazing. That makes that's perfect, because now that it was like, I went to school with her mom. It gives permission for someone to learn from something younger, basically. You know what I'm saying? Like, I taught someone's mom something. It covers two demographics there. Daughter I went to school with. And how much did she make? Do you know? Did she go out and make some money? And
I don't know how much she made, actually. Maybe $100 a month.
Okay.
It was
so
just
basically,
fun.
Basically, in general, it's like, I taught her how to do this. She went out and made her first $100. Right? And then, who else? And then give me like 3 names that you helped after that.
Yeah, so she told her son, Kelsey. Kelsey started it. I think he was making, I don't even know. I don't know him that well. $100 to $200 a month or something.
The amount's not going to matter. He made money. He made
Okay.
money. You can even say here, make their first 100, made their first 100, made their first 100. Then they made more. Like, because I think you're kind of seeding here. I'm gonna get your first $100 is going to come fast, right? So like, think about this. What if you just went there and said, like, my friend Carol went out and made $100. Kelsey made $100. And then they both started making $100 a month. Okay. Then when you pitch $97 a month, you're like, guys, all I got to do is show you how to mystery shop. You're going to go out and pay for this. This membership's free. And you have actual first stories to show that it's free. Then you're going to get into bigger stories like, hey, we're helping like people make $1,800 or whatever. Right. Like, so that's perfect. Kelsey did it, $100. We found the part of your story that can make your membership free when you pitch it.
Okay.
See, the story is going to take care of all the pitching for you. It's all going to be planted at the end of this. Okay. All right. Son did it, $100. We're just taking a bunch of notes here. This is actually going to be spelled out like literally at one of our sessions is going to be like minute 1, minute 2. We're going to take all this stuff and organize it into where we know every minute of the presentation, but we're going to try to get out. Okay. All right. So Kelsey did $100. Who did it after Kelsey? Did her daughter do it?
No.
Okay, that's fine.
I think those were the only. I told a bunch of people, but those were the only 2 people who did it.
Yeah, and then so then I think who's made the most mystery shopping that you've helped?
Jay at 1,600.
Okay, so it doesn't. Yeah,
that I know of.
And Nadia's made like $800, right?
I think minimum 800.
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah, $5,000.
She's made more than that in total, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm just looking. What I'm looking for is just a monthly thing. Like, man, she went out and because you're going to say in a month, because these people are going to be like, man, if I had 1,000, if all you got to sell is, I can get you $1,000 a month. If you're $5,000 in debt, you're 5 months from being free. So so we're just trying to get people there faster. Jay's big enough, and then after that, you got sky's the limit. It depends what you put into it, right? And then there's other benefits to mystery shopping too. Like, do you get products and stuff, or discounts, or like, do they give you the food when you buy something, or what are other benefits? Okay, cool. So we'll talk about all that. That's going to come in the pitch where you're like you're going to reveal more benefits. But right now, it's all about the money. Nothing matters but money in this situation.
Okay.
All right. So so your friend Carol inspired you. Your friend her son did it. And then Shane comes in and says, oh my gosh, you can teach people how to mystery shop, not get out of debt. That's not what we're going to say. Shane's going to say, Shane, the mentor, comes in and says, OMG, mystery shopping? That's your gift. That's what you know how to tell people how to do. You got to tell more. You helped Carol and you helped her son. That could change a family tree. You got to help people do that, right? Of course, that'll help people get out of debt faster. That's what your mentor told you. And so that's what you're selling, is how to get out of debt faster with mystery shopping. That would even be the front page of your website. Welcome to Budget Divas, how to get out of debt faster with mystery shopping, period. Right?
Okay.
You need to write that down. Yeah.
How to get out of debt faster?
It's like how to get out of debt, and then like in parentheses, I'm going to put, and live the diva lifestyle. It's for fun right now. Faster with mystery shopping. Okay. Something like that. Okay, cool. All right. And then now, so now we have a reason why you started helping other people. But I love the fact that here's the thing. I was so free that day I paid off my debt. It almost felt mundane. It was kind of like the end of Little Nemo, where they were in the bags and out in the open ocean. And, I was like, man, I can go anywhere. I can do anything. Like, what do I do next? And then my friend Carol said, hey, you guys look like you're really living it up over here. How are you partying so much? Right? I mean, you're like, I'm mystery shopping, man. I made extra money. I got out of debt. Will you show me how to do that? And the very first thing I taught her, she went out and made $100 a month. Then she taught her son, and he started making $100 a month. Then they went out and made more money, and it was consistent every month. And since then, I've helped this Nadia chick, I've helped Jay, I've helped blah blah blah, and like all these other numbers. And then when you pitch, man, it's just gonna be like $97 a month. I'll teach you how to make that the first week, and then your membership's free. And then I'll show you how to do it better. Right? We'll show you how to keep you accountable. Your accountability is gonna be a part of this too. Okay. All right. Okay. So cool. All right. So great job. Awesome job. This story is epic. And now it's not, I'm competing with Dave Ramsey and helping you get out of debt. No. I'm helping you live like a diva right now. I'm helping you get out of debt faster than you're going at the moment. I'm helping you stop sacrificing. Sacrificing is over. You're going to get out of debt faster, and you're going to stop. Get out of debt faster and stop all the sacrificing. That's a really good tagline too. Get out of debt faster and stop sacrificing.
Yeah, because I do say get out of debt without sacrificing your family time or social life.
Oh, no, just say, and stop all sacrificing. Stop sacrificing now. Like, get out of debt faster and stop sacrificing today. The sacrificing is over because you're going to teach them how to mystery shop. Get out of debt faster and stop sacrificing today with mystery shopping. It's not the name of a webinar. That's just like a tagline on your thing. Like, ooh, mystery shopping. That sounds fun. What is that? I like shopping, right? I put mystery shopping because that's how I say it in Kentucky. All right. All right. Love it. Okay. So hold on one second. We're doing great work here. Is this helpful, Jen? Are you enjoying this?
Yeah.
All right. Now we're going to get some more structure here. Okay. So story elements are out. A lot of improvement we're going to make on this. You're going to be shocked when you see how this flows based on just hearing you say it.
Okay.
Because there's so many little things like that mentioned in 90,000 in debt really early. Anyone less than $90,000 in debt is going to be perking up, right? Right there. Okay. Just getting your friends in, and like, I can't believe you don't tell the story of you getting of the day you got out of debt. Like, that's like, it'd be like watching the Kentucky Derby and the TV went out in the final home stretch. And like, I didn't get to see the ending. Like, that's basically what you just did to us right there. Right. Like, it's like, you know, and also just the, you know, the understanding that the gimmick is there. It was mundane. Dude, why would you celebrate that when you're going to celebrate the day you became a budget? The first day you went mystery shopping and made that first $1, it was over. It's not even get out of debt faster, man. It's like, get your life back faster. You know, that's what you're doing. All right.
Get your
love
life
this.
back faster. Okay.
Get your life back faster. Get out of debt and get your life back faster. Stop sacrificing, stuff like that. All right. All right, cool. All right. Now we're going to do a little exercise. You may have heard this before, but we're going to start taking some of this and building out our first outline of what the story is going to look like. Okay. Now this is going to get way deeper. Have you ever seen the emotion wheel? Have you ever seen an emotion wheel on before where like inside of it is like the really core emotions, like happy, sad, whatever. But then there's another part of the wheel where like, you know, like sad might be grief, loss, pain. Like it basically expands out into this thing. There's a color wheels. You ever seen that where it's like the primary colors and what they expand out into? This is kind of like the center of the wheel. This is like the main outline, but we're going to go really deep into this. There's going to be probably like, we're going to come like 3 things off of this, 3 things off of that. And it's going to keep spreading out until we build it out into almost like a 45 row kind of minute presentation. Basically, we're going to shoot for 45 minutes for the whole pitch and the story at this first iteration. Okay. And then I'm going to give you techniques where if you've only got 5 minutes, you can do it this way. We're kind of starting with the 5-minute version. Like if you're getting interviewed on a podcast, you can't go into the 45-minute version, right? But you can tell the real 5-minute version of it that makes it powerful. And then we're going to expand out where we can flesh out the details where it's almost like I want you to picture like this is going to be as epic as a Harry Potter movie when you tell this. Like this is not just Jen getting out of debt anymore, right? It's a freaking journey that we're taking people on. All right. The first part of your story is called Once Upon a Time. So this is what we say is before the problem appears. Okay. And I'm going to leave this blank because you can kind of fill it in. Okay. So basically that's like the shortest version of yours might be something like, I was at a job that was ruining my family life, $90,000 in debt. You see what I'm saying? Like, okay. So like, or you can say like, I was at a job that was so hard, it was ruining. What was the job?
Oh, the job was a staffing manager.
Okay. I was at a staffing manager job. That sounds terrible. Like say like I was a school teacher, you know. I was a staffing manager. I was so hard, it was ruining my family, right? All right. So that's the first part of the story. Now you're going to go back and work on this, okay? As homework. So I'm just going to give you some starters here. Okay. All right. Then the second part is what I call suddenly. And this is where the problem appears. Okay. Suddenly, the problem appears. This is the basic outline. Okay. So for you, it was like, like you got to piggyback off of the thing. And we're gonna flesh this out too. Like there's gonna be like a set and setting kind of part of this, right? Like that's kind of like what this is. It's like, long ago in a galaxy far, far away, basically, right? So this is kind of set and setting, right? And you're gonna say something like, oh, I was living in Hawaii, I was married, I had kids, and it's kind of like happy at first, and then you like pull the rug out from under things a little bit. And then suddenly the problem appears. Like basically, this is kind of like when you were on the bathroom floor and you had to, is that when were you on the bathroom floor before you switched jobs?
Yes.
Okay. On the bathroom floor. So we'll get to that point. It was my job or, my marriage, whatever. Right. And then the next part of the story is I decided. If you're selling from stage or a webinar or even on a sales page, you have to make them make a decision. They are at the bottom of the page, at the end of the webinar, they are going to make a decision. You have to model this. Like, I've got to fix this. I've got to fix this. I decided, right, to solve the problem. Okay, to solve the problem. That could be like problems, right? Because yours is going to kind of be an interesting thing because you're going to be like, the debt thing. I'm $90,000 in debt, right? The problem appears. I'm $90,000 in debt. And that's a reason to be on the bathroom floor crying, praying, all that good stuff. Okay. I decided to solve the problem, right? So this is actually where you start the search. See what I'm saying? So like a lot of things that we're going to cover here, this is where you're going to address in the story, doubts, fears, right? Mindsets. Okay. Like what was you're going to have to go into the real fear here of like, I doubted I could do it. I didn't know how I could switch jobs. All these fears that people have, we're going to eventually, you need to list these out. Like what were some doubts, fears, mindsets you had that you didn't think you could solve this problem, right? Like you don't know how you're going to make the money. This could be like you realized like it was 8 years. It was going to be 8 years to pay off the debt or something. Had to live on a budget. You've got a little gateway there of living in the budget, but eventually like this is going to just start the search for whatever it is. Okay. And what happens here in this part of the story is you're going to crush objections before they ever become a problem with your story, right? Like, how did you get over the fear of getting out of debt or mystery shopping? Or like, what are the 10 doubts that you had at the beginning? You're going to brainstorm I'm going to give you some homework. Okay. Like, so you can list them out here. If you know all the objections and you can handle them with your story, you don't have to handle them later, right? Because when you're pitching, you can just pitch the product, and then when you do Q&A, you can bring them back up and reinforce them with the parts of your story. Okay. All right. So doubts, fears, and mindsets. These are internal problems that we're going to address here. What was the internal fears? So my biggest fear, the one I address here immediately, is expert enough. I know that was a huge fear of mine in the beginning of my journey when I started my online business. Is like, who's going to listen to me? I'm just an 0-10 football coach. Who's going to listen to Jocelyn? She's only been a librarian for 3 years. But then I talk about how I overcame that. And now it's over. Like, you can overcome it. Right. So these are mini stories within your stories. Okay. So I decided, even though there was fear, even though there was things holding me back, I decided. All right. Now, this fourth part I call Badada. Okay. And there's going to be 3 Badadas. Badada. Okay. All right. So what that stands for, hold on. Let me put the other Badada in there. All right. Because these are going to be more you. Okay. Okay. These are triggering. This is the cascade of the story that keeps propelling it forward. So this stands for, because of that, I took action. Okay. Badada. It's kind of like yada, 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 right? Like, this is the meat of the story, but like we're in it, and everything here, like, you can't just like bounce around. Like, it's got to like, it feels like dominoes at this point. Like, this is the pushing of the domino right here. Push the domino. Okay. That's you've got to convince people to push the domino. And that's going to create so much momentum in the story that you're never going to lose them ever again, right? So like in this part of my story, which I'm going to send you a video of me doing my story. I want you to watch my stage presentation. So
Okay.
like when I was in Los Angeles, there was 9,000 people in the audience. And when I get to this part of my story, the I decided part, right? You know, there's a part of my story where I literally do something that makes the entire crowd hush. Steven's seen me do this in person. And like when I get to the I decided part, the part of that story, I catch them and then I make my decision. And every city I've ever been to, what happens is when I say it, the line that I say is, she scares me. And I catch them so off guard. And when it happens, the whole crowd stops. And I'm like, I got you. And then once they're paying full attention here, then I say, and in that moment, at the end of this little part of the story, this 1 minute part, I'm like, I decided I would find a way to take control of my income because income equals freedom. And it's, oh, people clap at that moment. When I made they clap that I made that decision, and they already have started making the decision themselves. And yours will be something like that. It'll be like, you know, like I decided to get off that floor and whatever. And everybody, I got you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that put the getting up, the visual of you rising off the bathroom floor is what's going to be told. Like you're going to be like, I decided on that bathroom floor that I was going to get up. And I was not going to wait until I got out of debt. I was going to find a way to start living my life and stop sacrifice, blah, blah, blah. And that's about it. Okay. This one is going to address certain things though. Okay. So we went internal. Now we're going to go external. Okay. These are external things, right? Like you're going to stand up and you're going to face down your external obstacles with this one. Okay. So what, you know, the first obstacle is like you had to research and find an answer. Right? Like you made a decision. What does that mean? Like, but you're going to talk about how I went down hundreds of hours of YouTube videos, because now they're thinking, oh gosh, I don't want to do that. And you're going to say at the end, oh, don't worry, you don't have to do that. I've put it all in one place for you. Right? So that's an external obstacle. Finding the answer, right, is an actual external obstacle. But you're gonna solve that for them. You're gonna show them you did all of the work. Okay, and then you're gonna, like, as you're going through different obstacles, you're gonna talk about fails. Right? Like this is where you're probably actually going to bash Dave Ramsey a little bit. Okay.
Oh no.
Okay. Oh yeah. You're throwing stones. All right. And you're going to be like, I love Dave. It's great. But gosh, who wants to be in debt for 8 years? Who wants to eat beans and rice for 2 years? I tried his way. It sucked. You're going to position that almost as a failure. Right. Like, and you're going to create, you're also going to leave like some tension here. Like this is probably where, some tension here. Like this is before mystery shopping. Like you're not going to, like, this is probably we're going to talk about surveys, and you're going to crush those too. Right. This is probably we're going to talk about surveys here. Because like you got to come up with something that was kind of a failure. That's like my toddler apocalypse story I tell, where my first blog sucked. Right. So you have to fail early, because you have to be able to call back to this at the end and say, you remember when I failed? Aren't you glad I failed for you so you don't have to? When you become a budget diva, you don't have to go through the failures anymore. Don't go make $2 surveys. Let me take you on mystery shopping. Wouldn't you rather shop and get paid? Come on, man. Doesn't that sound better than taking a survey? What is this, the census? I mean, this is ridiculous, right? Like, so then we're going to talk about jokes are going to be added into. We're going to do all kinds of fun stuff. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So this is failures, obstacles, external type stuff. All right. Then this is the turn. Okay. This is probably where this is where mentors really come in. And Dave Ramsey is not your first mentor. He was your first bad example. We want to bash Dave Ramsey, because I guarantee you, if there's 100 people on a webinar and they're all doing Dave Ramsey, 60 of them are sick of living on beans and rice. Okay. And they're pissed off at Dave Ramsey because Dave Ramsey's full of crap. You know, Dave Ramsey even says on his radio show, people call in and they say they hate me until they're out of debt. Right. Like, don't you hate being on beans and rice? That's terrible, right? Like, yeah, but your mentors are Talent and Ty. Because did you say they are the ones who kind of introduced you to this?
Yep.
Are your mentors, whether you know them or not? You can, like, I talked about Pat Flynn in my story way before we were really good friends. You know what I mean? Like, it's really important here, because if you don't want to position yourself as like the only person who has the answer, but like, But you can say, like, I discovered this 3 talent type, but they don't really teach this really a lot. It's just like, and they may be inaccessible. It's just, you're going to briefly mention I found this podcast and I heard about mystery shopping, right? And a mentor kind of, you're right, basically modeling, like, look what happened when I found someone that told me what to do. And then when you can come back and they don't know who Talent and Ty are. They don't know how to get in touch with them. They just spent an hour with Jennifer. You're their mentor. What really helped me is I had a mentor. I had someone show me mystery shopping and get me down that direction, but I still had to figure it out on my own. And now I'm going to teach it to you. I'm going to become your mentor. You don't need to go to them, right? So this is where you discover the solution. Okay, so mystery shopping definitely here's here, right? Okay, we're just getting structured as what we've already done, okay, to get it in order. And then the last one, because you found the solution, then you took action. It's always about taking action. You're really going to, because when I discovered mystery shop, I knew I had to take action. You're going to say that so that it when I discovered this. So basically your story is going through going, man, I had this because of this. Because of this, because I tried surveys. Because of that, I took action and found something else. Because I found talent and mystery shopping, then I decided to go do it. Right?
Okay.
And this is where you implement the solution and succeed. So you're going to talk about your first mystery shopping. And then you're going to talk about, like, the build of how it got better. Like, for example, in this part of my story, I'm going to send you a link to let you watch my presentation from stage. But when you see this, you'll see right here, this is where I immediately, as soon as I make my first dollar online, which I've already referenced, I just go on a cascade of, we made $2,500, we made $5,000, we made $15,000, we made $36,000. And then you get to this part, which is victory. This is your audience dream, right? This is where you have to tell, this is where you succeed. This is where you get your happily ever after and make it possible for them. So now what you're going to talk about, this is you quit your job, or not quit your job. This is you got out of debt, but yours has a twist. Plot twist. It was mundane. I realized I'd already won the day I learned how to mystery shop.
Wow. My mind is just like, boom.
We're not done. Wait, there's more. Okay. So, all right. So now it's like, okay, you've just framed this. So what the next thing that happens, the story's not over. Okay. What happens in the framework next, called "And Ever Since That Day." I stole this straight from Pixar. So now we have to, because of what we're doing. Remember, there's 3 steps to this that are left. Actually, after you tell your story, the story should do all the selling for you, but then we've got to transition. Okay, we have to transition. There's going to be a little period of, you have to explain why. Well, you're just out of the goodness of your heart, you're going to come help people now. The Budget Divas charity telethon, right? Not what it is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're gonna have to transition, right? So this is where you have a new mission, is what I call this. Okay, you have a new mission, and what you're looking for here, this is, you explain why you now help other people. Okay, and this is where you're going to talk about, like, discovering me and discovering all that. Like, you can even, this is where a second mentor can pop up here, pops up sometime, right? And then you just tell the story of the founding of Budget Divas, but start with Carol. The most powerful thing you can do here is, and then I helped a friend. That's what you do. Like, my first thing is, we could have rode off into the sunset. We quit our jobs. We made as much money as we wanted. And then a girl named Lindsay at church asked Jocelyn, how can I do that? I want to stay in home and homeschool my kids. And if I could make money online, I think I could do it. Do you think you could tell me how to make money online, Shane and Jocelyn? Sure. And wouldn't you know it, 3 months later, Lindsay quit her job and she has homeschooled her kids ever since. That's another part of my presentation that always gets the round of applause. Okay. Because then it's like, it was me, then it was Carol. And then you're like, and then Carol taught her son and he made $100 in a month. And it's like, and all of a sudden, then I helped this lady named, they don't need to know the order of this event after this, by the way, either, when these people get in. And you can say, and then I helped this lady named Nadia and she started making $900 a month. And then I helped this lady named Jay and she started making $1,600 a month. And then I realized I can help anybody do this. I can even help you. And like what happens there, the transition is filled with us. This starts the transition right here, but I'm not going to go forward. The next, there's 3 other parts. There's the full transition and permission to sell. Okay. That's the next part. Okay. Testimonials live up here. And ever since that day, I've helped Budget Divas do this. And then there's a full transition to sell. We are not talking about that today. Then there's the pitch itself. It's a story pitch. Pitch itself is going to be a story. Okay. But we'll talk about that later. It's going to be every point of your pitch is going to be anchored back to the story. It's not going to be like a Russell Brunson stack slide where you're just showing benefits and results. That's part of it. But everything's going to come back into story pitching with real quick hammered testimonials filtered into it. Right.
Okay.
But they're not, but you won't pull up like a slide. You're just going to mention people. Basically, you're just going to keep telling mini stories the whole way. Like every little bullet's going to be like a little 30-second story with it, right? Where it's just hammering over and over and over again what's happening. And then we have the close. And at the end of that, we have the Q&A.
Do you think it's important in the story? So when I first created this product back in September, I didn't even have the checkout finished yet. I was selling it for $197. I got on a call from someone who heard about it, and she's like grabbing her credit card and I'm trying to like do the checkout page as she's like, you know, grabbing her personal credit. Anyway, so for her, it wasn't really about the money. She works with homeless people, so she wanted to do mystery shopping as an outlet, like a retail therapy outlet.
That would be a nice little store. Okay, keep that in mind. Okay. I'll even put a little comment here, like the lady who wanted to do it for an outlet, homeless, stress relief, whatever. Okay. That would be added benefit. An added benefit. It's not important in the main story, but that's a little like you might say, like as you're doing it, that would be a throwaway line within the pitch itself. You could throw a little story in there about, I had this lady named Barb and she was working at a homeless shelter and she had some other things going on, but she just wanted to do this as an outlet. Did you know this is even like stress relief? Oh, wow. I'm going to be less stressed and get out of debt faster and get my life back tomorrow. This is stupid. Why would I not do this? So the story pitch is, we're just dropping, like I'm like Jeanette Stein, Evan Burrs, Jen Trinidad, Kenny Toriano, Stephen Faust. I'm just hammering my core stories over and over and over and over again in the thing. So it's just like, oh my gosh, like who are all these people, right? Why am I left out? Now that we're actually going to build like FOMO, like in the story pitch with lots of other stories of micro stories, parables almost, you know. So cool. Then there's the close. Then the Q&A is interesting. We'll talk about that when we get there. But again, this is the whole process, right? Like we've got this story, okay? But what we really want is it to fit in a very neat way in this framework, okay? Now, I'm going to show you kind of my version of this, but not exactly in the same thing, okay? It's a little bit different verbiage, so I'm just going to pull this example out. I'm just going to copy this and kind of paste it in your thing because it's in the same order, but I called it a few different things, and I'm changing some of it, okay? So, like, this is Shane. Once upon a time, I was a school teacher in Kentucky. My son was in trouble. I needed to go to him, but my boss told me no. The problem appears. That day, I decided to take control of my income because income equals freedom. I decided to make the decision. Here's my bada. So I tried to be a handyman and a lawnmower man, and those were disasters. That was not the way to get out of debt. Surveys. Okay. Then I started looking for other ideas, and I discovered online business. Now, Pat Flynn goes here, but in this, it's not important, right? So I started, built, and grew an online business of my own. After a few months, we replaced our income and quit our jobs and went full-time online. We taught a friend how, and ever since that day, I've taught thousands of people how to start, build, and grow my income. You need to be able to tell, like I could be on a podcast, like if Steven was interviewing me, like, Shane, tell me your story real quick, man. Give me the 2-minute version. You know, dude, listen, you know, a few years ago, I was a school teacher in Southeast Kentucky. My son was in trouble. He had a really bad situation at daycare, and I really needed to take the day off work and go to him. But my boss told me no, I couldn't have the day off work. So I decided that day I wasn't going to work for anybody else. I needed to take control of my income. That fool controlled my paycheck, and I needed to control my paycheck so I could have freedom. So I tried to do some jobs. I tried to be a handyman dude, but I'm not very handy. So like it was a disaster. I tried to be a lawnmower man, but we have this thing in winter in Kentucky called winter. So we can't mow the snow. And that's just a disaster. So I decided to look for other things, man. I was listening to a podcast one day while I was mowing my grass, and I discovered this thing from this guy named Pat Flynn called online business. You could sell your ideas on the internet. So I started, built, and grew an online business of my own. I was selling playbooks to football coaches. My wife was selling lesson plans to librarians. After a few months, we replaced our income, quit our jobs, and we went full-time online. And I was ready to ride off in the sunset, bro. But a lady from church named Lindsay said, can you teach me how to do it? And I did. And we thought, man, we could teach other people how to do this. So that's what I do now. I help people start, build, and grow online businesses, quit their jobs, and take control of their family's futures. And now the interview just goes. But everyone who hears that now is like, oh my God, what is this? Right? It's already got it. We have to have this version of the story like this for you. After you write this, I want you to type in, you're gonna for each one of these bullets, you're gonna have 3 F's. Okay. So you're gonna write your first sentence, just I was a staffing manager in Hawaii. You know, this is like 2 to 3 sentences max. Okay. Less than 2, 1 or 2 sentences. Let's say 1 or 2 sentences, 1 or 2 sentences, period. Okay. That way you're trying to keep it really short. Once you write your core sentence, like I was a school teacher in Kentucky. All right. I want you to have 3 bullets under these. Now take that part of the story. All right. You're going to think of something funny around it. Like that happened around that. Like it's something funny. Like I was a staffing aide, like a funny story from being a staffing manager. That's like ridiculous or something like that. Right. Like it's like something that's sad almost. Like it was like, I used to eat like one story I tell is like, man, I hated my teaching job so bad that I used to lock myself in my room during lunch because I didn't want to be around all those other negative Nancy teachers. And like, everybody's like, it's kind of funny, right? Like, you know, it's like, you know, my days were spent, you know, like putting out cigarettes in the bathroom and breaking up fights in the stairwell, you know, and I was good at that too. I threw a couple kids around or something funny around that first sentence. A fear from that time of your life, right? Like, man, I was afraid.
Does it have to be the staffing manager portion? I mean, so the funny story that I tell is, so our debt-free journey started October 2016. In January 2017, New Year, I decided I was going to go on a no-spend year, and that lasted 1 month.
Hold on. You're going to do this. This is just a brainstorming activity.
Okay.
You're going to do this for every one of these blocks.
Okay.
We're not going to necessarily use all these, but what I want you to do is, as like, you know, when I say I was a school teacher in Southeast Kentucky, like that's the start of my story. Now, for me, the best possible thing that I can do at the beginning of any talk that I give is to make people laugh. Okay. It might not necessarily be your strategy. Some people are really good at immediately grabbing people's fear. Like there's another version of my story. We almost started the book right in the parking lot where we found out Isaac was being mistreated at the daycare center, because we wanted to grab people with fear immediately and we're trying to create an emotional response here, right? Or make us more human. But you're going to do this for every one of these. You're just thinking up, like, think of this moment in your life. I was a staffing manager, and this is before you were on the bathroom floor. So you have to think in your life, like, what was something funny that people could relate to? What's a fear in my life at this time that people can relate to? What's a fail in my life that people can relate to around this concept right here? And what we're doing here is we're creating a story bank, because remember, there's going to be the 5-minute version of this. There's going to be the 20-minute version of this. And like, honestly, a good webinar should be able to really, you're going to have to be able to take tangents and take people down rabbit holes. And this is all pre-planned, everything that we're doing. So you're going to think of something funny from each era in this, right? You're going to write the sentence first. right? And like even the mystery shopping, like, is there a funny story the first time you went mystery shopping? You felt like you were shoplifting or something you can say that's funny. It can be
Okay.
one sentence. Like, what was the fear? Like, oh my God, they're gonna find out it's me when I'm the mystery shopper, and I'm gonna look guilty, and they're gonna know I'm the mystery shopper. Or like, what was a fail? Like one time, this guy goes, "Dude, I know you're mystery shopping. This is bullcrap. You're not really shopping." Like, or like you knocked over an entire rack of preparation aged or something silly. Like, what was a fail from that period? And what that does is it gives us more when we start making the slides. It lets you go off on tangent and tell micro stories again, because story stacking is actually how this works, right? That story stacking is really that's how it's going to come out with like you need it. Like even when you're helping people, like there might be a fail. Like Carol was the one who went out and didn't make anything her first time shopping, but the second time she did. And we're just thinking of ways that we can put that in there. We're just brainstorming this part of the journey. So when we get to the place where we start making this full presentation, we have a lot of material to bank on. It's not enough to just branch off of that. And what every presentation has to do is you have to make people feel emotion before the pitch. Mm-hmm. They've got to laugh, they've got to cry, and they've got to realize that you're not perfect. So you've got to talk about failures. You got to talk about your fears. You got to talk about the funny stuff, because you're helping them get over the fears. You're helping them realize that failure is going to not be the permanent solution. And we're just thinking of those things in each to give us more stories to tell. Okay.
Okay. My fail was that I got banned from a mystery shop.
There you go. See, look, we have not heard that, Stephen, have we? Like right now, I don't know that story. But now you at least can just say, I got banned from a mystery shop. You're not going to tell the whole story there. You're just going to write, I got banned from a mystery shop. Tell the little title of the story, and then we can flesh it out later.
It is an email that I put in my email sequence.
There you go. So you got all this ready to go. You're ready to go. I'll come in the first 20 minutes of the next meeting. We will go in it, and I'll help you reshape it, right? But it's got to come from you, or it's not going to feel authentic. I can't just write it for you in that way. I need to hear how you've reworded it, restructured it, spelled it out, and then we'll start creating that script. And then that will be our branching off point into, now we're going to start planning out, like, what does a 45-minute talk, what needs to be included, when does it need to be included. Then we'll go to the next step where we're like, when are we going to be funny? When are we going to make them gasp? When are we going to make them cry? When are we going to make them do that? And then we'll start making slide deck. And
so it's the Disney up down emotion, right?
Oh yeah, we're going to make them feel everything. It's going to hurt. Yeah, it's going to, they're going to come out of that going, geez, man, where do I sign up? I want that to be, I want a story like that. I've revealed part of the story structure to you. When I reveal all of it, like, I've done the 10,000 hours of studying stories. They're all the same. You got to tell the story in a certain way, and you got to hit certain notes. And when you hit those certain notes, the story just falls out of you, and it's so authentic and it's so real, and you can say it the same every time, whether it's 5 minutes or 45 minutes, and people respond. It's not magic. It's not because Shane's special. It's just, this is the way it works. And once you figure it out, you see the matrix, and now you see everything happening. All right, Jen, good job. That was a lot of work.
Yay, thank you. I'm so excited.
All right. So if you got any feedback, just tag me, and let me see it as you go, and then we'll come back together in the 9th, and we'll get it after it. Okay. Are you glad you signed up?
Yeah, this is like a no-brainer.
All right, y'all. That wraps up today's episode of the Shane Sam Show. I hope you enjoyed Jennifer Trinidad's story. I hope you enjoyed the process of Story Pitch. Just that first little glimpse into what we do to help people take their story to the next level, so that it can help them accomplish their goals out in the world. If you go over to shanesams.com, you can learn all about our storytelling products. We have 2 products, actually. One of them is called StoryPitch. That's for speakers, entrepreneurs, people working online who are using their story to sell their products and services, to really get that audience engaged and get them ready to take action and make that purchasing decision. And we also have another one for keynote speakers, or maybe you're a doctor and you've gotten pegged to go out and do a talk in front of 300 of your peers, and you've never spoke on stage before, and you're freaking out because you got to prepare a presentation. Maybe you're somebody that's got to present up in front of an audience. You got to give like a keynote speech, or maybe you're going out and doing a TED Talk, whatever it is. That one's called Spotlight Story, and we really focus on the story there, and it doesn't have the selling component. Story Pitch is for people who are telling their story to sell their stuff. And Spotlight Story is for anybody that needs to give a great presentation and they want to move the audience to accept their ideas and take massive action. Go over to ShaneSams.com. If I can help you tell your story better, sell more of your stuff, or just get up and inspire an audience, I would love to coach you through that process. Again, I've been doing this for over a decade. I've spoken at the very highest level on some of the biggest stages in the country. And I want to pass that wisdom, pass that knowledge, pass on all that stuff to you so you can avoid the mistakes that I made and you can succeed right out of the gate on the next stage that you walk out on. So head over to ShaneSams.com. Check out all the stuff that we've got over there. And don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, hit the notification bell. Leave me a comment on this episode, whether you're watching it on YouTube, maybe you're listening on Spotify, maybe you got it on the old Apple podcast. I want to hear what you think. Go leave us a review. Go tell us what you think. Come hang out, guys. Let's make this an interactive experience. And make sure, no matter what, listen to this episode again. Do it one more time. Pass it on to a friend. Heck, come back next week and we'll have some more great content for you here on the Shane Sams Show. Until then, get out there, take action, light it up, y'all, and do whatever it takes to build a great life. We'll see you then.